big teaks in 7th grade for equations is not teaching students the process of solving equations, but rather the modeling and how to use the models to solve for the value of a variable. So just to kind of show you guys the way that we started things out is, for example, if I had this problem, if you can see 2x plus 1 equals 3. The very first thing we did, no pencil, no paper, for the first day is we just used algebra tiles. So here on my little balance beam, you can see we have a left and a right side that are set equal to each other. There are my two x's. So there's my 2x plus 1 on my left side of my equation. And then on my right side, my positive 3. And then we go to talk about how we're going to use these pieces to solve for our variable. So we ask the students, well, what could you do to both sides? Because what we do one side or the other, we have to do the other. In science, they're used to kind of seeing a triple balance beam, so they're used to knowing the leveling portion of it. So we talk about taking one piece away from each side, and as long as I take one away from the left and the right, my equation is still equal. And then I try to put things in a perspective for the students, talking about pretending these are two people, and I have two pieces of candy, giving each person an equal, because we have an equation, an equal amount of candy. Each person is going to get one candy. So my value of each x would be 1. So the solution for this particular equation would be x is equal to 1. So the whole time throughout this problem, we never once talked about steps, we never talked about algorithm, we never put pencil to paper, but they were still able to solve this equation using these manipulatives. The next day when the students came in, we took those ideas and we put it into action the way that it would look on their paper. And we tried to draw the manipulatives that we'd used the previous day, just kind of incorporating what we had discussed previously. So drawing our two x's, or walking through the steps that we did yesterday with the algebra tiles. What can I do to both sides of my equation? I could take away 1 from the left, and we can take away 1 from the right. I have 2 pieces and 2 pieces. So what would the value be for each x if they have to be equal? Again, reinforcing that equal sign or equal word over and over. Giving each x, and just trying to kind of group it, showing them that each x is getting one of those pieces. So the value of the equation is x equals 1. The next day, after we modeled the equations with pencil and paper on the dry erase boards like you saw, we incorporated technology in our classroom to reinforce the modeling of equations. We did this by using the TI Nspire calculators. We have a class set, so each student did get a copy, and we preloaded documents that the students could access. So all they had to do, basically on a computer, you open a document. And we'll go through that in just a little bit. So I want to show you guys how we were able to use modeling equations for the students to see on a calculator. So they opened up a document, and like you see here, you have a left and a right side of the equation. So we're going to build that equation just like we did with the algebra tiles. I'm going to refer to the same equation, and on the calculator, the students, it's not touchscreen, but the students do just kind of click and drag to create the equation that they need. So we had 2 x's. So there are my 2 x's. And I had a positive 1 on my left side of my equation. And now you can see that you want the students to see that my equation was originally balanced. These 2 lines used to be side by side. But since I've been adding things to the left side of the equation without adding them to the right, the students are really starting to see that now my equation is really not an equation. It's not balanced. So we continued with our equation. I added my 3 positives to the right side. And as I do that, you can see that these leveled lines, these bars, are gradually going to be together. I add my third one. All right, so the students are now able to see the equation that we had written down is exactly what they're seeing modeled here. And again, they're able to see that those leveled lines are equal. So the great thing about this particular program that the students were able to use is that they were able to model it. They were able to see that this equation was slowly being balanced as we were doing adding and subtracting. In this case, we just had positives, but doing the same thing to both sides of the equation, and they were able to solve for the variable. If you see here on the screen, it does say that the equation 2x plus 1 equals 3 when x equals 1. And just one more thing about the Nspires. This is a very easy to use document. If you see down here, we have a reset button. All the students have to do is reset it. They have a brand new blank screen. They're able to see again, I have nothing on both sides. My levels, my equation is equal. They can click and drag their variables, click and drag their pieces, create a new equation, find their solution all over again. Very easy to use document for the students.
So once Ramey had selected and the team selected the files they wanted to use, we set up some folders, and each class had each file in it. So that way, if someone deleted it or edited it, we always had a new file to work with the new class. So when I load the files, we have docking stations here. And in a docking station, it holds 10 calculators. and I connect that docking station to our computer, and I transfer the files to the calculators, and it takes maybe a minute to get all of those files transferred to all 10 calculators.
Having the documents preloaded on the calculator took a huge stress and weight off my shoulder. I know that when I grabbed the bag of calculators, the file was there. All I had to do was walk the students through on how to access that document, and they were ready to go.
So the day of the lesson, during Ashley's conference period, we were going over it again. She has 2 co-teach classes with a lot of special ed students, and her co-teacher was going to be out that day, so we were going to have a sub. And her stress level was getting high, worried about the special ed students being able to use the mouse on the calculator and be able just to use the calculator. So I assured her I would come to class and help with the students, especially since we knew that the co-teacher was out. And I came into class, and Ashley began her instructions, and the kids were amazing. They all picked up their calculators, and they were like, do-do-do, moving around, open up the files, moving everything around with the mouse. I helped students, Ashley was helping students, kids were helping each other. It was really simple and easy.
So I'll be honest, I was very hesitant on using these in my classroom. I had just managing a classroom full of 30 students and these calculators was kind of overwhelming for me. But the fact that the documents were preloaded, the kids came in, we had a document prepared for them that they just followed step by step by TI. And I had students that were just taking off. They were 5 steps ahead of me. They were working through it, and it was really neat to see their progress and how into it that they were with technology. The other thing that was really amazing to me is that some of the students were like, I finally get it. We'd used the manipulatives, we'd modeled it on pencil paper, we talked about taking things away, but until they were really able to see that file and the way that those levels were moving on that screen when they added things to one side but not the other. One student finally said, I finally get it. We'd spent several days on this, and he said he finally got it. He saw the screen, he saw the level, he saw what he was able to move, and it clicked.